Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on this YouTube channel platform. To make our learning and teaching process easier and convenient to you all. Okay, and keeping in view the same, I wanted few students, not few all, if possible, to share your experience about the online teaching and the way you are enjoying it and learning in a recorded video. As we have shared your videos for this activity, my book, my friend, you have done the fantastic job. I really like it very much, and I have given, sorry to mention, but 10 marks for you. Those who have done well. The same way I want, try all of you. You just come before the camera in front and say that your name, friends of studying, so friends of class, the way school is, trying to cover the syllabus and trying to avoid any academic loss from your board examination point of view. Okay, and you please share your things in the video, record it, and do share with me. Fine. The second initiative that our school is going to take for you all is OTBA. I will just finish with 5 to 10 minutes these many things because our honorable principal ma'am is going to conduct one online session with your parents and so of course. Okay. So what is OTBA? OTBA was previously a part of board examination. Long form is Open Textbook Assessment. Open Textbook Assessment. So from 1st July onward, I will share the circular and the details about the same after our session gets over. So in this OTBA, you will be given one question paper, exactly same as board examination. Okay, and in that, let's say English. Okay, it will be science on 1st July, but I'm just giving you an example. You will be given a complete set of question paper, only one set for all. Okay, yes, I will. I'm just trying to explain you. Everything will be shared with you in the circular. Okay, don't just start asking the question. It interrupts. So, for example, you are given science question paper on um, 1st July. You will be given 3 days. Okay, one question paper shared on 1st July. So you will be given first, second, third, 3 days. In those 3 days, what will you do? You will write the answers in such a way with such a presentation as if you are writing it for the board examination. Okay, so you have 3 days for one paper. You can utilize 1 hour per day. Keeping in view that thing, we have given you 3 days. You can refer to the textbook. You can make the best answer considering that the board should give you 100 of 100 marks or 80 of 80. This paper will be of 80 marks. So you should get 80 of 80. So this way, the first paper for 3 days, the next will be given on the next for 3 days, and accordingly it will go on for 5 of our subjects: English, Hindi, Maths, Science, Social Science. The timetable, syllabus, everything will be given to you. The syllabus will be that is done up to the last week, not even this week, up to the last week. Whatever the syllabus was done, that much syllabus will be there for the examination. I will give you everything in detail. Fine. So you can mention your video that you are going to record for our school, sharing your experience about school at home. You can give the hashtag or tagline for that. You can mention these things also, OTBA, about online tests that we have conducted, about the online sessions that our teachers are putting for you, even the things you are doing at your home. Another thing, that is art integration project. Dear students, if you remember, we had done Seva project last year in class 9. The same way, this year we are going to do two projects for art integration. one will be completely based on the arts, and the another for each subject one project relating to the art, that is art integration. And preferably you should try to match your project with the culture, heritage, and the everything that is there in Orissa. Orissa is our pairing state, based on which we are supposed to integrate our textbook of all subjects with the art in relation to the Orissa. Fine. Our honorable principal ma'am is going to conduct one live session, if possible, tomorrow by 12 noon. You please read the circular that I'm going to put just after our session gets over in detail, and share the same with your parents also. It's mandatory for you all to attend. Okay. So these are three things that I had wanted to share with you. The first one about OTBA, second one about live session by our honorable principal man, and the third one art integration project. So, but why Orissa only? Dear Gauri Bhargavkar, government of Maharashtra has paired the states. Each state has another pairing, and for Maharashtra it is Orissa, and so only Orissa. Okay, fine. Especially for art integration. More details I will give you with this and the subject teachers also. So please wait for them, but you should have an idea so that you can show your readiness and preparedness, keeping in view all of these things. So be ready for tomorrow's live session with Honorable Principal Ma'am with your parents. And she will then explain you about the art integration, about OTBA, and also basic mathematics and standard mathematics. Okay, so this was what I had just wanted to share with you, and the most important that you please share your experience by recording in a video with me. Okay, I want each one of you try your level best and try to put all positive things in it. Fine. I hope there are no doubts. The timetable, the syllabus, and all other details about the OTBA exam and the art integration will be shared shortly after the session gets over, and more details and your queries will be resolved in tomorrow's online session with our honorable principal ma'am. Fine, but you do record your video sharing your experiences and share with me. Fine. Let's come to the point, that is the unit number 2 from the textbook First Flight, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, and the author is himself Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. In this, we firstly studied about the apartheid system that was there in South Africa, how Nelson Mandela struggled and became the first black president of South Africa on 10th May, that is also known as Autumn Day in South Africa, along with two deputy presidents. Then he delivered a speech and thanked all the people and assured the South African people that there would be a good beginning and bright future for South Africa. Then the arrangement made there has been described. Then the two national anthems have been given, for whom the blacks and the whites we know. And after that, we studied about the sacrifices by the great people from South Africa in order to root out and eradicate the apartheid system and the evil cultural habits in South Africa. And they were Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Chief Lucili, and many more. And here, Nelson Mandela remembers them all and says that the new generations should follow them and they should also try to become like such great personalities. Then we came to know about the real culture that Nelson Mandela wanted for his nation, but how it can be implemented and brought into the effect, he has given now the brief details. And it is based on two obligations. What are the obligations? One is to our family, that is to our parents, to our family members, and the other one is to our nation, the community, the society that we have. Okay. Firstly, when he realized that he was very free, he can do anything, but up to when? Till he was following all the cultural rules and regulations in his society in South Africa. But when he started raising the points against the culture, he was thrown out. He was isolated, and he had now no family with him. And this way, he realized that he was not alone, he was not free, but he found his siblings, his friends, his community that was not free. And so he wanted to struggle. And this way, he has mentioned on page number 222, paragraph number second on page number 22. And I think we had finished up to that. And there was some network issue last time. And even if I explained, but you were not able to get me. So I will repeat those things again. Fine? Everybody, can we continue? Whenever there is an issue, please put here in the comment box, in the live chat box. Okay, good. So page number 22nd, second paragraph. I was not born with a hunger to be free. I was born free, free in every way that I could know. Free to run in the fields near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roast maize under the stars, ride the broad backs of slow moving bulls. As long as I obeyed my father and abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. And here he says he could do anything till he obeyed his father and abide by all the customs of his tribe, the community. He was not at all troubled. He was free to run anywhere in the field. He was free to swim in the clear stream. And he was free to roast maize under the stars. And he was also free to ride the broad backs of slow moving bulls. In his childhood, he was enjoying all of these things. He used to do anything. He would do whatever he wished when he was a small kid because he was following and obeying the laws of made by man or we say of God. But when the time came in his childhood that he realized that his boyhood was an illusion, what he discovered? Let's see. It is in the next paragraph. I think we had done with this also, but let's continue again and repeat. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. The transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I choose. Later, as a young man in John's book, I aimed for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. And he's right, being a very simple person, being a common man, what can man expect more than that? And that he did. When he was a small kid, he wanted to do whatever he wished, and he was able to do that. And so he thought that he was free. When he will grow, he found that he was restricted for some of the things. He was not allowed to do something that he wanted. And so he says that his boyhood freedom was an illusion. Means he remembers that when he was a small kid or just being a small child, he was able to do anything. But is that real freedom? And so he says that his boyhood freedom was just an illusion. It was not actually a freedom, but it was shown as if he was fully free to do anything. But that was not the fact. Later he realized, and being a common man, when he grew up little more and went to school, being a student, what was freedom for him? Just to do anything what he wanted, just to move away from his home even at night and do what he wanted. He found that he was free. He's just saying how the definition of freedom changed in the steps of his life. Being a small kid, just to do anything was the freedom for him. Secondly, when he was a student, he thought that freedom is just, to have freedom for the moment and staying out at night and reading what he wanted that was pleasing him and going wherever he wanted. That was what freedom for him was then. But when he became a young man, he shares his experience in Johannesburg that just to marry anyone and having a family and there should not be any restrictions from the lawful life was the freedom for him. But is it? No. He says, when he realized later, when he understood and studied the society, he was not happy. And there began his hunger for the freedom. How? We will see here in the next paragraph, that is the last paragraph on page number 22. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and that is then when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of the people, of my people. And being a common man, he was self-centered. He was little, you know, uh, selfish, we can say, because he was limited to his own, himself only. He can go, he has freedom. He can do something, he says he is free. But later, day by day, when he was restricted by the people for doing something that he was not supposed to, he realized that he is not alone who is not free, but all of his brothers and sisters, the people from the black community, they were all not given freedom. And then he says that his freedom that was limited to himself became broader, vast for the others. And that is what he says as his freedom or his hunger for the freedom became for the hunger for the freedom not only for himself but for the people of South Africa. And he explains it in the next para, that is the first para on page number 23. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk, and this way his life transformed from such stages in his life. He says he was the most humble, modest, and rule following person in his life. But when he realized that he was not free, and so his friends, sisters, and brothers, he changed himself. He transformed himself because of the system that was there in the society. Because he wanted the freedom which allows people to live with dignity and self-respect. And that was there. He did not find for his community. And this way, he mentions that his life transformed from a frightened young man into a bold one. He was very frightened earlier. Frightened here doesn't mean that he was afraid. Rather, he was frightened means he was following all the rules and regulations blindly. And he was very frightened to break the rules. But now he became bold and he started breaking the rules and the regulations, not only of its society, but of, you know, then so-called people called it as God's rule. God said you should not do that. And he started breaking those rules. And this way he became a bold one. He transformed himself from frightened young man into a bold one. And he was later driven from a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal. And as he was abiding by all the rules and regulations of man or God, now he started breaking the rules and regulations, and he was now a criminal from other people's point of view. I explained, last time that Sukhdev, Bhagat Singh, and so many, great personalities who sacrificed their lives for our nation are the, best role models showing the patriotism. But for the British, they were the terrorists. They were anti-nation for the British that time. But for Indians, they were the most patriotic people showing their patriotism, sacrificing their lives for the nation in order to gain independence. The same way here, Nelson Mandela calls him that he became a criminal. But was he, in fact? No, he was not a criminal. But they people started calling him as a criminal because he started breaking rules and regulations by them. Then he turned a family loving husband into a man without home. And he loves his family so much. But later he realized that just to have a children and a wife is not the family. But his family definition changed. Like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. His whole nation became his own family. And this way, a man who was loving his family very much was transformed into a man without a home and, of course, no family. And the man who was loving life very much was later forced to live like a monk who was at any moment ready to sacrifice even his life. And this much transformation took place in the life of Nelson Mandela. You know, and this way his struggle began. Then what does he say in the next paragraph? I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedom I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. And he says that he was no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man. Means he was like other people, but he had to change himself, keeping in view and considering, the poor and limited freedoms that was allowed to him and to his community. And so he decided that he should not be self-sacrificing or simply just self-limited and self-centered, but he should think of all the people in his nation. And then, freedom became indivisible for him. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. And this way he says that if anybody was troubled in the society, in the nation, he was himself troubled. If somebody else was troubled, other people were troubled, and so he himself was being troubled. That's what he means there. The grief being suffered by others was actually the grief that was being suffered by himself. Whatever trouble was there for others, he thought that the trouble was for himself. And this way he gives an example that the chains, means the barriers for other people, were actually the barriers for himself. He never wanted, forget about others, I can do this, I am allowed to do that. He was not such self-centered person. He wanted freedom for all, then for him. He never wanted freedom for alone himself and not for others. And this way he became the popular president and person among the people in South Africa. As you know, he is the first black president. and he has given some brief accounts in his life about his struggles in the beginning. Okay, if you want to read more about his life, you can read his own autobiography that is there, Long Walk to Freedom. Okay, and let's finish with the last para. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. And this is very good, what Nelson Mandela says. In a sentence, we can say the person who does injustice with others is criminal. But more than that, the person who bears, who tolerates the injustice is the biggest criminal. You know that. And this is what Nelson Mandela says in some other way that if I am doing some injustice with others, I should understand that today I am the one who is oppressing others and tomorrow I am the one who is going to be oppressed by others. So, dear students, if there we want freedom for yourself, it will not last longer until and unless there is a freedom for all other people in the society. Let me give another example. If your own home is very clean and tight, but the neighbors not, your students, don't forget that at any moment that dirt that is there with the neighbor will be there in your own courtyard tomorrow. Fine. So if you want your own home always clean and tight, so the neighbor's home should also be such a way clean and tight. Let's Let me give you another example. If a farmer is looking after his own land very well, by providing all the manures, the fertilizers and all, but the neighbor's land is not being observed in such a way, then his own crop won't be safe until and unless the neighbors. Let's Let me give you another example of corona. If you are alone, keeping yourself very safe, but not the people around you, are you safe? No. If you are washing your hands all the time, but if you are shaking your hand with the other person who is not washing, are you safe? No. And this way here, Nelson Mandela says that if you are oppressing others, if you are doing some injustice with others today, and you are saying that you are, great person and can do anything, no, dear students. Tomorrow, the situation will be different. Today's friend can be tomorrow's enemy, and today's enemy can be tomorrow's friend. This is life. What Nelson Mandela wanted to say. I will just repeat this paragraph again. You please pay attention and let me know if there are any queries, doubts that you have. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken away from me. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity, and both are held equally responsible for the hatred that is spread in the community. Fine. Here Ashnan is asked, so this chapter we have to write in notebook. Don't write chapter, write the question and answers. But after we discuss them here on this platform. So I hope there are no queries, no doubts, because I have explained this chapter in very well detail, and it has taken, of course, so much of time, as the title says, long walk to freedom. So this has been a long day to finish this lesson. No queries, no doubts. So can we begin with thinking about the text? Oh, before that, there is oral comprehension check. We will firstly start with oral comprehension check. I put the first question. The question is, what twin obligations does Mandela mention? Come on, big, big, any more answers? Come on, or may I put? I'm putting. The first is to his family, parents, wife, and children. And the second obligation is to his people, his community, and of course, his nation, his country. Good. Kushi Sahani, correct answer you have put to his family, parents, wife, and children. The first. And second, Kushi, you were right, dear. She retracted the message. I think this is 11 o'clock, and our Honorable Prime Minister is addressing the nation in his Mann Ki Baat program. Okay. Anil Kichar has mentioned, according to Mandela, every man has two obligations. Obligations to his family and obligations to his people, his country. Good. Shreya Thurde mentions that obligations to his family and obligations to his people of his community or the nation. That's fine. Ayush Mutta, same. Good. Ayush Shalomke, good answer. Okay. I'm now putting here the question number 2 from oral comprehension check that is there on page number 24. Be ready with your answer. I'm putting here you the question. Question is, what did being free mean to Mandela as a boy and as a student? You know, how does it contrast this transitory freedom with the basic and honorable freedom? Contrast illusion that was there as a student or as a boy, in his boyhood. He found now that his freedom was just an illusion for him, but it was not a real freedom. How does he contrast this transitory freedom with the basic and honorable freedom that he expected, and then he decided to struggle, to fight for the freedom of all his brothers and sisters? Hurry up. Answer, dear students. Briefly, please put. It is not expected that you should mention word to word, line to line. Hmm? You can mention as a boy, what was the freedom? As a student, what was it? And how does it contrast this transitory freedom with the basic and honorable freedom? It is also a single line. May I put for you all? Fine. Bhumi has mentioned freedom to Mandela means freedom to make merry, enjoy the blissful life as a student, as a boy. Okay. Wanting to go somewhere, he was allowed. That was freedom for him. As a student, whatever he wanted to read, he was able to read. If he chooses to go somewhere, he was allowed. That was freedom for him. But when he grew up and realized that it was not the freedom, then what was it? And how was it contrasted? Good. Tisha, in South Africa, hey, autumn day answer you were saying, Tisha, autumn day? That is not the question, dear. Khushi Sahni has mentioned that transitory freedom was self-centered, while basic and honorable freedom was a broader idea. Very good. And what was that broader idea? That was the freedom for all. And how they should all live with self-respect and dignity. That was it. Good, very good, Sami. So understood, as a boy, simply, he was free to do anything because he was abiding all the rules and regulations of his father, that he was free to run in the field. He was even free to ride on the bull. He was even free to do anything he wished as a child, and this way he himself thought that he was free and he had complete freedom. As a student, he was allowed to read a book that he wanted, he was allowed to stay out at night, and he was able to go wherever he chooses. And that was the freedom for himself, he said. But this idea of the transitory freedom has been contrasted. How? He says that he wanted the freedom that was there earlier as a transitory freedom was limited to himself only, as Kushi has mentioned already. But whereas the honorable freedom he wants to say is to do more with his family and his people's position in the society. That is a broader idea. Okay, very briefly, Kushi has given the correct answer. Now, the third one is, does Mandela think the oppressor is free? Why? Why not? I just explained in the last para. Does Mandela think the oppressor is free? Is the person who is doing some injustice and taking away their freedom is free actually? No. Exactly, Anil. Mandela did not think that the oppressor is free because, according to him, a man who takes away another's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of narrow mindedness, and it is very sure that he himself is not free because he is himself behind the bars of hatred and the narrow mindedness, and so he is not free. Somit says that Mandela does not think that the oppressor is free because, according to him, an oppressor is a victim of hatred who is behind the bars of prejudice and narrow mindedness. Rina has mentioned no. Good. Kushi says no, according to Mandela, even the oppressor is not free because the man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. Very good. And Aditya Ahuja has also mentioned that Mandela does not feel that the oppressor is free because, according to him, an oppressor is a prisoner of hatred who is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow mindedness. Very good, dear student. Your answers are correct. And also Sahil Galante says no. And also Shreya Talte. Fine. Your answers are matching with each other. Very good. Even Gauri Khattare has answered this question correctly. Now let's move ahead to the next title, that is thinking about the text. Page number 24. First question under the title Thinking About the Text is, what did such a large number of international leaders attend the inauguration? Why did? And what did it signify the trump of, according to Nelson Mandela? Please answer this question. I'm putting the question here, and I'm sure that the textbook is with you and it must be open and you can refer to it easily. Come on. So we mentioned that to be the part of the inauguration, international leaders showed a gesture of solidarity from the international community to the idea of end of apathy. It was the significance of the victory. Very good. And Bhumi has also mentioned the same, giving the details about the apartheid system. And also Aditya mentions that they attended the inaugurations and their presence of large number of international leaders was a gesture of solidarity from international community to the idea of the end of apartheid. They all agree that the apartheid system was eradicated, rooted out, and that was done the best job by Nelson Mandela. And they call it as, or it signifies as the truth of victory. Okay, not only for South Africa, but for the world. As I told you, if the neighboring country is supporting the terrorism, our country is also in trouble. But if there is no terrorism in the neighboring countries, our country is also safe. And here, Nelson Mandela was supported by all the dignitaries all over the world because that apartheid system was not the trouble only for South Africa, but it could be later implemented in the neighboring countries or some other countries on the earth. And so they all supported this good idea, the removal of apartheid system. Good. Gauri and Kushi, you have also mentioned the same answers. That was the discrimination of all such evil things, and it was a signification of good over evil. Fine. I'm also putting here one answer. That is almost similar to yours only in two parts. Fine. Next question. What does Mandela mean when he says he's simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before him? Yes. Now this is a question. Easy, but you need to think before you answer. I will repeat the question. What does Mandela mean when he says he's simply the sum of all those African patriots who had done or gone before him? Come on, answer your here in the live chat box. Are you getting the question? That he calls himself that he is none, but simply the sum of all those African patriots who sacrificed their lives, and they have only, taken a rebirth in the form of Nelson Mandela, all of them together, and so he calls as the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before him. So, what does he mean to say this? Yes, Bhumi, you are right. That he just want to pay to the people who sacrifice their lives for the sake of freedom, you know, the tribute. And he is very grateful. He is not taking the credit saying so, but he is rather giving the credit to those who had, made a path of cooperation and unity for him. Right, Bhumi? Very good. And also Gauri Khattare mentions the same. He wanted to pay a tribute. Good. And is being very grateful to them for their, the path that they have paved of cooperation. So simple, no? If they were not there, there was no role model for Nelson Mandela. Then he was very blank with what to do and whom to follow. But when he read about them, it was very clear for him that what he should do in order to gain the freedom for his nation. Very good, Sriya. She also mentions the same, that he wants to pay a tribute saying so. Fine. I'm also putting a detailed answer. Fine. Now the next question is, would you agree that the depths of oppression create a heights of character? If you remember the sentence by Nelson Mandela, depths of oppression create heights of character. Would you agree? And second, how does Mandela illustrate this? He has given more details about this sentence. Can you add your own examples to this argument? I think we had discussed this longer, and that was the reason that it took many days to finish with this lesson. Anil, you were right for the previous answer. Now answer for this question. That do you agree that he says need to repeat what does it mean? Depths of oppression means the person, the more being trouble, the higher he comes up with some ideas and the more he shines. I had given you example if you remember. टाकीचे घाव सोसल्याशिवाय दगडाला देव पण येत नाही. If you remember, I had explained. And so with some more examples. Samil also says that he illustrates this by giving example of great heroes of South Africa like Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu and others who were inspired to sacrifice their lives in the long freedom struggle. Good, but this part of answer can be the answer of previous question also. But give exactly in proper way the answer of this question. Would you agree that? Then mention yes or no. Then how does Mandela illustrate this idea? You explain and give your own examples, in this argument. How you justify the statement that the depth of operation gives the scope for the heights of characters. In brief, if there is no, trouble in the person's life, can we call him, a very happy person? He achieved some great success in his life. In short, no pain, no gain. This is what Nelson Mandela wants to say. No pain, no gain. That is well said in English. No pain, no gain. Illustrate now this. Do you agree with this? How do your statement? Somi, Bhumi, and Kushi, they have given their own ideas here. Bhumi Karnawat says, yes, I agree that the depths of operation create heights of characters. He illustrates this by giving examples of great heroes in South Africa. Good. Kushi also mentions the same, that he says, she agrees, yes, due to the oppression, people realize their potential and become bold and get ignited for a greater personality in themselves. Right. Shreya also says that, yes, I agree. Nelson Mandela gives many examples to illustrate this of the great South African heroes who sacrificed their lives in long freedom. We can give examples of our own country, India also suffered. Good. Gauri also has mentioned here, Pargaukar, and so they also explained it in well detail. But give some of your own examples. Gauri Pargaukar says, yes, I agree that depths of operation creates heights of character because unless we suffer from difficulty or difficult times, we don't have the value of our happier moments. Exactly. Very good, Gauri Pargaukar. The words we have put here are really fascinating. Your answer will be the same of all of yours, but the way you are putting the words, that is important. That play the role. Either you will get out of marks or less marks. Khushi has added some of her points that Mandela himself has changed his own character as he was involved in the struggle. From a self-centered common man to the first black president. Exactly. Very good. So these are the points from Nelson Mandela's life. You can give example of Abraham Lincoln. You can give example as I had given you Anna Hazare from here, our own Ahmednagar district, Ralegan city village, and many more. Fine, you can add your points there in the notebook while you are writing the answer of this question. Can we move ahead for the fourth question that is there? On page number 24, how did Mandela's understanding of freedom change with age and experience? Again, I think the question is similar to the question from oral comprehension check, that is question number 2. Almost similar. Huh? Please answer this now. I will repeat the question. This is question number 4. How did Mandela's understanding of freedom change with age and experience? Bhumi says, with age, Nelson Mandela realized he had lots of responsibilities of his people, community, and country, that they were more important than the responsibilities towards his family. And so, this way, his definition of freedom changed with his age and experience. He did not have hunger for freedom because he thought he was born free as a teenager. But later, his freedom that was restricted and limited to his own family and the community later became the hunger for freedom for his people in the nation. Good. It was not just his freedom that curtailed, but freedom of all life. Bhumi Karnawat has explained the answer well. Anybody else? Please put it here. I'm also putting one of the answers here. That will be the just compiled one of all. Firstly, himself just to move here and there and do whatever he wanted, or the definition of freedom. Later, when he went to school, I explained him that whatever he wanted to read, he was able to read, and wherever he wanted to stay out at night, he was able. So he was thinking that he was free, and this way, gradually, with his age and experiences, the definition changed for the freedom. Which he has also mentioned the correct answer here. Along with his age, his priorities had changed. He even realized that his and his community's freedom was like an illusion earlier. But when he realized that he was not actually free, his idea of freedom and rights now was not limited. Good. Anil also says that when he was a boy, he used to believe that he was born free. But later he realized that his boyhood freedom was just an illusion. Good, and that's why he joined, the Youth Congress Party somewhere in South Africa, and that was just the beginning for his hunger to be fulfilled, and the thirst for the freedom was quenched by obtaining the freedom for all the people in his community and the black people in South Africa by being the first president of South Africa. Good. Next question, number 5. How did Mandela's hunger for freedom change his life? You know, now you know how his definition of freedom changed as per his age and experience. Now the question is ahead of it, saying that how did Mandela's hunger for freedom change his life? You know, how the hunger developed from self-limited to the community, to the people, and how that modified and reformed his own life. That is mentioned here. How he was earlier and how the hunger of freedom changed his life. How he became later. That is expected. I know that you know the answer well. Please put here. Earlier he was a simple man who was blindly following all the rules and regulations by the community and that was there made by man or God. But later, day by day, as he realized, you know, then he changed himself. joined the African National Congress, and from a frightened young man, he was changed to a bold one, and many more such examples were given there. Here, Bhumi, Somil have mentioned. Okay, and I am also putting that the hunger for his own freedom gradually turned into hunger for the freedom of his people. That is in association with the answer of question number 4. But the answer of this question begins from the desire of non-racial society transform him into a virtuous and self-sacrificing man. And finally he joined the African National Congress, and this changed the fearful man to a fearless rebellion. Good. Khushi has also given here what is given there in the textbook as it has transformed a frightened man into a bold one, a law-abiding citizen to a criminal, and a family-loving husband into a man without home, a monk. Very good, Khushi. That's really nice answer you have put here. And that's the end of thinking about the text. Okay, we have 4 more minutes. Please let me know if there are any queries about the question answers or the lesson or some other things. You can put here. I will be there to answer. And after that, we will just finish with the first part of thinking about language. It's very easy, and that will be the end of page number 24. And we will begin with page number 25 tomorrow onward. Fine. Shreya, very good. Mandela's hunger for freedom changed his life as when the hunger developed from hunger of himself to a greater hunger for the community, hunger for freedom of the society, of the nation, and all the black people. And he joined the National African Congress and changed from a frightened man into a bold one. Very good, Shreya. Okay, fine. Are there any queries? Any doubts? Anything that you want to share or ask me, please put here. Ayush More has a doubt. Sir, did Nelson Mandela suffer in his education field? Ayush? Ayush More asked the question and Ayush Mutha answered. What a coincidence, na? No. And when he joined his education, he was there now free to gain the education that he wanted. Only when, if he was abiding by the rules and regulations that was there framed by the for the black ones by the white ones. Understood? But as and when he wanted to do something that was done by the white one, he was restricted and he was not allowed. And then he realized that it was not he alone being suffered, but all the black ones were being suffered the same way. And then he decided and joined the National Congress Party from South Africa and became a rebellion and fought for his nation with full of dedication and sacrifice in his life. And you know how his life was later transformed, you know well. Fine, Ayush More, anything else? No? Okay, we will just end with this first part of thinking about language, that is grammar and vocabulary part, and then we can end the session. It's very simple. I'm just reading for you, and we are many a times done with such questions. Thinking about language. First, there are nouns in the text, formation, government, which are formed from the corresponding verbs. Form, govern. For example, formation is a noun, but form is a verb. So this verb, form, can form formation as a noun. Govern is a verb, but government is a noun, and that has been made from the verb govern by adding the suffix ment, ment, and became a noun, government. So by suffixing, in the bracket ATION or MENT, that is there in the government, and ATION is there in formation, we can change verbs into noun. So there may be a change in the spelling of some verb, noun pairs, such as rebel became rebellion, little change in the spelling. Constitute becomes constitution as a noun, and this way we can transform or change the verbs into noun and vice versa. So make a list of such pairs of nouns and verbs in the text. Will you find? Here are the examples given. That is, rebellion is a noun formed from the verb rebel. Constitution is a noun that is there uh, framed from the verb constitution. So will you add some more, as many as possible? Is there any doubt, or shall I give you some more examples about forming verbs from nouns and vice versa? Install, installation, very good. Many are there. Teach, teacher by adding er. Learn, learner. Free, freedom. Form, formation. Many examples. But here you are limited to the textbook only. Read it. Underline the verbs and nouns that you find that they have been given as a noun as well as verb in the textbook. Like Ayush says, associate, association, oblige, obligation. Very good, Shreya. Sakshi Chhajar says the same. Oblige becomes obligation. Transform becomes transformation, as Gauri says, and Gauri Khartare says, and Gauri Pargavkar says, organize, organization. Very good. You will find number of examples in the textbook also. So you place enlist them in the column noun and verb, and write them accordingly given in the textbook. So that's it for today, dear students. I hope you are all enjoying your studies and doing it well, and preparing from the board examination point of view. And I'm very sure that most of you, 100% of the students, will get A grade. You please try your level best, and we are always there for you. So all the best. Have a great day ahead. Stay home. Stay safe.